So we've seen how we can set scenarios up and even make use of them to change values from one set of values to another. Those might be the standard kind of scenarios that we expect, good, bad, and awful, and we use the scenario manager for this. There is a drawback though. Whilst I have the scenario manager open, there isn't a problem. If I take awful bananas, double click, I know it places awful bananas values into the sheet. If I take awful apples, double click, I know it then places awful apple values into the sheet. However, with the scenario manager closed, I don't really know whether these apple values are good, bad, or indifferent because there's no marking at all on the sheet. There is a way around that, and that's achieved by going back to the scenario manager and actually adding in to each of these scenarios another cell value that we can then change. So if I take my normal bananas and edit, what I want to do is add in another cell. So I want to keep that range, so I put a comma. I can then come and click at the bottom here, so below the total, and that picks up B15. Okay, those are the values in the cells, but B15 is currently empty, and I could put normal in there. Okay. I then go to my awful bananas, edit, do the same again, add in that same extra cell, so I put a little comma and then I can select B15. When I say OK, I can then edit all the values for awful bananas, but the one I'm after is B15, where I can put awful, OK. And then the good bananas, again, edit. It's the cell range I'm after, adding an extra one in, and it's again B15 because that's at the bottom of the banana column. OK, and then right at the end, I've got an empty cell, which can then become good. Now, what the advantage of doing this is now when I go to normal bananas and do show, it places the value that is in that cell, B15, into B15, so it now says normal. And when I do awful bananas, it puts all the values in, but then it puts the text value awful into B15. And the same for the good bananas. It puts good into the good bananas. What this then allows is when the scenario manager is closed, I know which set of values I'm looking at because there's a label on the sheet. So it's not a feature of the scenario manager to be able to do this, it's just using the tools of the scenario manager. So we've added in an extra cell to the changing cells, and all we do is we change the label of those changing cells. So that's what if analysis, scenario manager, and then you can edit your ranges to add that changing cell in. Now, planning ahead, you would put that changing cell in right at the beginning, making sure you highlight your cells you want to change, plus the cell that will contain the label in this case. So you would do exactly the same for the apples and the pears. All of the scenario values would have to be edited, add in their changing cell, which for apple would be C15, add in the value as normal, and the same for good apples, edit, comma to add in the changing value, scroll down to the empty cell and put good, and that leaves us with awful apples, edit, again add in a new changing cell, and put in the value for that new changing cell of awful, which then allows us to choose the apple scenario values, and it places each of the apple scenario labels. That way, with the scenario manager closed, we know which set of values we are dealing with. So that's more of a tip to using the scenario manager than a physical capability and feature of it.